Immigration and the cultural differences that immigration brings has destroyed this once great town. It is now nothing more than a dumping ground for migrants and refugees. We did a quick search before coming out on Google for an immigration solicitor. There were nearly a dozen results that deal with this type of law in this area alone. So is it any wonder then as to why we are losing towns across the country when greedy solicitors want to cash in on the next big thing? Forget PPI, people. Immigration law has a much greater client base. Immigration on this scale to any county will be detrimental to the Indigenous culture. It's been proven that the effects of this globalist idea of diversity brings its own problems to many areas, one of which is why we are in Ramsgate today. There were 500 reported sex crimes last year in Thanet alone. Let that sink in. Broken down by offence, the figures show 500 sexual offences crimes reported in Thanet last year, the highest in Kent excluding Medway. Of these, 171 were identified as rape or unlawful intercourse accusations, 43 as offences against children, 7 cases of grooming, 23 of obscene publications, 220 classed simply as sexual offences and 36 as controlling or coercive behaviour. Just 32 offences reported in Thanet resulted in a charge last year. 8 of those were for rape, unlawful intercourse, 7 for child sex offences, 9 listed as simply sexual offences, 6 controlling coercive behaviour and 2 for obscene publications. Is there a correlation between the high amount of sexual offences and the influx of different cultures? We certainly think so. Which brings me to the reason, again, that we're in Ramsgate today. A lost 16-year-old girl was repeatedly raped by a kebab shop owner and 3 others in a flat above a takeaway after she went inside to ask them directions, Canterbury Crown Court heard. The drunk teenager was led drunk to a filthy room above 555 Peter in Ramsgate, Kent, where she was pushed onto a mattress and forced upon by the group of laughing men. The unnamed teenager was attacked after she headed home from a night out with friends and stopped off at the late night restaurant to find her way home. Prosecutor Simon Taylor said the girl was undoubtedly drunk and was walking the streets alone late at night. The Crown's case is that her drunkenness, youth and vulnerability would have been recognised by the defendants. And it is these factors that they took advantage of in the couple of hours that followed. Restaurant owner Tamin Rahani, 37, Sharisha Muslimah, 20, Rafila Hamidi, 24, and a teenager who can't be named for legal reasons all deny 3 charges of rape. Mr. Taylor said the girl was taken to Rahani's flat above the restaurant and added, once there, she was raped by men on multiple occasions. He said through drink and most likely the trauma of what happened to her, she was unable to provide any detailed descriptions. The girl had found herself in a room of the 2nd floor above this takeaway. In that grubby room with an uncovered mattress on the floor, multiple males had sex with the teenager. She says that she did not consent. Indeed, you may well conclude that she was too drunk to give any true consent to any sexual intercourse in any event. But what is clear is that each of the men took the opportunity to have a little fun at her expense. Mr. Taylor said the teenager had drunk alcohol, which was the equivalent of being twice over the drink-drive limit. After the alleged attacks, Mr. Taylor claims she was escorted out of the property by one of the men and left to roam the streets alone. She was then found sobbing and distressed by a woman returning home and taken into her home for safety. The trial continues. And so will the treatment of our children, it would seem. This is not an isolated incident. It has been reported that up to 1 million children have been at the hands of grooming gangs and rapists in this country. Rotherham, Coventry, Oxford, Bristol, Yeovil, Colchester, Dewsbury, Rochdale, Manchester, Bradford, Halifax, Littlehampton, Keighley, Aylesbury, Oldham, Leeds, Banbury, Slough, Sheffield, Newcastle, Burton, Chesham, Peterborough, Middlesbrough, London, Leicester, Barking, Birmingham, Ipswich, Telford, Accrington, Derby, Preston, Blackpool, Blackburn. And the list goes on and on and on. And all the while it does, our police hide the true statistics. Our elite media also refuse to acknowledge the problem. Most stories of this nature are kept to local papers. for fear of people realising the staggering numbers of rape and grooming against our children. And never a mention of the fact that most of these abusers are actually Muslim. These are racist hate crimes and should be treated as such. I'm going to go live to Graham Moore over at Canterbury Crown Court. For Boss Media Productions, I'm Dave Russell.
A 24-year-old man was brought back to Kent from Italy after being extradited following a rape investigation. Rafulia Hamidi, 24, was detained in Taranto in the Apulia region of southern Italy and was flown back to the county. Hamidi, formerly of High Street, Herne Bay, has subsequently been charged with raping a woman in Northwood Road area of Ramsgate last September. The suspected rapist has been charged. He is due to appear in Canterbury Court again on Monday, the 8th of May. For Boss Media Productions, I am Graham Moore.